Nisi, did you have a question? I see your hand up. Maybe not. Okay, I saw your hand up. But I took a job a year and a half ago focused on racial justice and leading our broad programs. And what this program was intended to do was address some specific areas for Black Americans. We prioritize at Lilly 5 areas: people development, jobs, health equity, social impact, and diversity partners. And with the jobs pillar, with the jobs focus, what Lilly did, and a lot of other companies did, was sign up for an organization called OneTen. So let's go back to 2020. Back in late May of 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, you had this racial uprising. For those of us who've been Black all of our lives, this is kind of like just people getting woke to something that most of us always just felt. We felt oppression. We felt like the weight of opportunities was not always readily available to us at parity with others. That to us it was more so that many of us just got tired. We just it became an overwhelming expression of frustration with experiences that us and our forefathers have had for 400 years. Now, what companies decided to do, many companies who have the wherewithal to bring about change, they started saying, well, where can we use the weight of our influence to address what we agree as inequities? And what many of them said, well, what we can do is give jobs, good jobs, for people who would otherwise not get access to them. And that notion, one of the notions that came out of that was this thing called OneTen. This effort to enable 1 million family-sustaining, livable wage, good jobs for 1 million Black Americans over a 10-year period. And the unique thing about this initiative is that it is for people who currently don't have a 4-year degree. Now, you might say, well, look, I got a 4-year degree, but I still don't have a good job. Or I don't have I have a 4-year degree, but I don't have a livable wage currently. Well, there's acknowledgement that that's still an opportunity for change as well. But this specific initiative just said, hey, we're gonna solve for this problem. We're gonna solve for this one problem because Blacks particularly have significant larger deficits in the wealth gap. You got Blacks making 10x less than white Americans on average. And so everyone that sees that data acknowledges that there's no fairness, there's no equity in that notion. When in the zip code that I'm standing in now, the average Black American makes about $26,000 a year. $26,000 a year. Who can live off of that in a sustainable way? No wonder why people go to crime because they got all these responsibilities and they live in that type of wage doesn't set them up for success. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just helping you to see a path to rationalize why people are doing things that they would otherwise potentially not do. So this OneTen effort actually came out of that desire. Carrington, can we play the video? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna play a video that the current CEO of OneTen, Maurice, gives a little context, gives a personal context And then I'm gonna ask one of our own, Sister Charlotte Cooper, to come and give her testimony to her experience with the Lily experience, and then we're gonna back into OneTen's website and show you how you and or people within your circle can benefit from this OneTen philosophy. So let's play Maurice.
Let me show you one of my favorite things about Money.com CRM. Instead of doing this, you're a
I grew up raised by grandparents on a tobacco farm. My grandmother and grandfather were both brilliant. What they were denied was the opportunity for that brilliance to enable them to go any further. They wanted to make sure that I could go to college. I ended up at Hampton-Sydney College. At the end of the day, for us, it was, where could I afford to go? It changed our lives. I was able to go and get an education. I got the Rhodes Scholarship. My grandparents, they knew that education was the gateway to opportunity. I really learned early that there is literally genius everywhere, but it's opportunity that's missing. We're in a unique moment that I've not seen at any other point in my lifetime. The pandemic and the recession and the racial reckoning really are the events that have led to the creation of OneTen. The OneTen mission is to hire, promote, advance 1 million Black talent who do not yet have 4-year degrees into family-sustaining careers and jobs over the next 10 years. We need to enable multiple pathways to flourish. And when we don't, guess who gets disproportionately harmed? Black folks, other folks of color, folks from rural America, folks that I grew up with. We can make jobs our most powerful tool. That's what OneTen is doing. Focusing the corporate sector on creating and sustaining and maintaining jobs that will allow them to access this great talent that they're leaving on the sideline. I see my grandmother. I see this lady who was denied opportunity beyond that because of her color, who I know is and was brilliant, talented. Any company would benefit from having her. Today, we have this incredible racial wealth gap. The median net worth of a white family in America is more than 10 times that of a Black family in America. If you close that racial wealth gap, you will produce an additional $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion in GDP growth in the country. The OneTen journey is, yes, great for Black families, but it is also great for companies and great for corporate America, and ultimately great for the country's economic prospects. No one should think of this as some kind of philanthropic exercise on behalf of the Black community. Oh no, this is about the economic and global competitiveness of American companies and the United States of America. Corporate America can truly help transform the country. We cannot afford to leave Black talent on the sidelines and still be great.
Why doesn't every home in the U.S.
Well, praise the Lord, everyone. My name is Sister Shyla Cooper, and of course, I'm a member here at Kingdom Apostolic Ministries. And I first want to thank Deacon Terry Morris for this opportunity to come before you today and give my own experiences and testimony regarding this amazing program. So I started Lily this year, May the 23rd. I was previously laid off at my job as director of the training and development department. And God opened up the door for me to have this opportunity to come to Lily, which was so amazing because I have always wanted to work for Lily's. Lily, I try not to say Lily's, but it's Lily. I used to apply, but I knew that it was a long shot because I did not, I don't even have an associate's degree. I have a high school diploma, but you know, God has been good. I've always had really wonderful jobs, but I knew that there was something really special about working at a company like Lily because of the support that they give their employees from people that I knew and just experiences that I knew through them. And so when the Lord opened up the door for me to go there, I was just so ecstatic. And He has truly not let me down. I am in the cohort 3, which I'm in the 3rd class of the apprenticeship program there, where I am currently studying to be a lead principal scientist. Now, you may say, my goodness, and believe me, I thought the same thing, coming from learning development to learning to be a scientist in the lab, ordering, just doing everything that a scientist would do. That eventually will lead me to management there has truly been just a dream come true and truly just the work of the Lord. So I just want to encourage you because the support that I received through this apprenticeship program is just amazing. I meet one-on-one every week with my manager, my senior director, and then today I had my first one-on-one with my senior vice president. And so the support that you would receive through this program truly is invaluable. I have a coach, I have a mentor, and I'm highly encouraged to build solid relationships, not just for through the people at my department, but throughout the entire company. I have one-on-one scheduled from associate directors all the way to other senior VPs because they want to get to know me and they want to know what value that I can bring, not just to my department, but to their department as well. So I highly encourage that if you are interested in learning something new, if you're interested in making a difference, not just within your own job, but the whole scope of what Lily is doing for breast cancer and obesity and diabetes, and because we're all touched by those sort of illnesses one way or another, I know I am in my family, then I highly encourage you to truly apply for the apprenticeship program or any positions that Deacon Morris has. It really will change your life, not just financially and all the benefits that go along with it, but the difference that you're going to be making holistically really is worth the opportunity. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to share even more experiences that I have throughout the apprenticeship program that I'm in. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I just thank you so much for this time, and thank you so much, Deacon Morris.
Thank you, Sister Cooper. And when we get to Q&A time, we'll maybe open it up if you have any. I'm going to ask Carrington. I guess he'll be. What's the male version of Vanna? Anyway, let's go to OneTen's website and let me walk you through. And because I think we may have some people on from Detroit or from other places in the CAM universe. And I encourage you to take some time to visit OneTen.org. And it's kind of like a startup where they've been building over the past year to really make it easier for people all over the country to be able to tap into OneTen. So Karen, if you go to FAQ at the top, and I encourage you to do the same. Go to the frequently asked questions. And one of the things they describe is what is OneTen. We talked about that already. And for companies who want to be a part of it, you'll see what that looks like. Now, what they also get into is this family sustaining job. Click that one, if you will. Now, the family sustaining jobs is an important notion because each city, the cost of living in each city is different. So the amount it takes to live in Indianapolis is different than it would take to live in New York City or California somewhere. So what they are expecting companies who sign up to OneTen is to confirm that they provide a living wage based on MIT's living wage calculator. Now for Indianapolis, there's also something called good wages. Companies can be a good wage certified organization. And so they also embrace the living wage calculator. And that matters because that if a company is embracing a living wage calculator and their good wages organization, you will be paid a livable wage. OneTen requires all of its companies to be a living wage company. Go down if you would, Carrington. Now, this skills first, this may be a new word for some of you, skills first. Now, what OneTen has been doing with companies like at Lilly is encouraging that not just bias or focus on if someone has a degree. Because that, in some areas, is that you have to have a degree to validate your ability to do that work. But there are a whole lot of areas and a whole lot of disciplines where that isn't the case. I'll give you many examples in our manufacturing operator world. There, a degree, it doesn't dictate your ability to perform that job. IT, where I grew up in IT, I spent 20 years in IT. And many IT organizations have removed the degree requirement from jobs. Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, all of them have removed the 4-year degree requirement from most jobs. Well, OneTen is saying, hey, why not the rest of you? Why not remove your 4-year degree requirement? And in some cases where people may need a little more help, give them the help that they need. Give them the skills that they need to do that job. And the way we at Lilly are doing it, and the way many companies are doing it, is to provide an apprenticeship, a gateway to that job. Okay, let's go to the mission, or maybe it's about. I'm looking for a go to mission. I'm going to scroll down, if you will. I was looking for a particular, well, this is some data that may be something for you to keep in mind. The average difference for a family net with the family net wealth between whites and blacks is $143,000. 76% of Black Americans, 76% of Black Americans do not have a 4-year degree, and 79% family sustaining jobs that require a 4-year degree. So you got 76% of Black Americans without a 4-year degree, and 79% of jobs that pay livable wages require a degree. That shows you a problem, a big problem. Keep going down. What I want to do is show you. Okay. There we go, employers. Click learn more. So here are the companies that are a part of OneTen. You go down a little bit more, keep going, keep going. They hide it. They hide it real good. There it is, okay. And there's a more, view the all employees. So whether you're in Indianapolis or anywhere else in the US, this is a list of all of the companies, if you can minimize the screen, all the companies that are currently a part of the OneTen initiative. And so all of these companies have declared their interest in hiring more Black Americans who do not have a 4-year degree. You see Lilly in the center here, but most of these are who's who company. I mean, Delta is hiring thousands of people in Atlanta. I've talked to Delta. in the work that they're doing. Allstate and Accenture in Chicago. There's another company who has just signed on with OneTen here in Indianapolis. I'm not at liberty to share, but they are intended to hire hundreds of people into this OneTen effort. And I'm actually working as a city leader for OneTen for Lilly to recruit more companies in Indianapolis to hire for in the spirit of OneTen. So now, how do you go from knowing about OneTen to expressing your interest? Karen, if you go back to the top page or click the one, yeah. So if you go to OneTen.org, they have now just recently created the ability for you to let OneTen know who you are and for you to begin to see some of their opportunities. You click to get started. Now, and we unfortunately won't be able to do this because, well, I guess we can, so we can try. I mean, I tried it because I answered it truthfully, so I couldn't actually get through all of it. So if you put your information in here, it's then going to take you to a series of additional questions. So you say you're Black American, if you're Black American. You say your age, 18 or over, yes, give your degree. Yep, you can submit. You submit it, and now it gives you the ability to create, and you could use a Google if you had, or just create a separate account. Sure, it's easy. It's probably easiest to create a separate account. Is it you on your phone? Yeah. Once Carrington has verified his account, then he can log in. And what's happening is that companies are going on to OneTen's platform and loading up the jobs that they have available. Now, and then I'll talk about what Lilly is doing and how you can connect to opportunities that we're planning to have. Carrington forgot his password, but we put him on the spot. So let me, while Carrington gets in, let me just talk about, let me pivot to Lilly for a little bit. And so at Lilly, we have positioned apprenticeships basically across the enterprise. So we have apprenticeships in our manufacturing organization. So you think developing a craft, HVAC, electrical, welding. And with that program, it's called the Craft Technical Pathway Program. With that program, we will pay for you to go back to get your associate's degree at Ivy Tech. You can also get a certification through Ivy Tech as a part of that program, and we'll give a generous bonus on the front end of that program. Within the professional program that we have hired people into learning and development. We've hired people into HR. I actually am currently, I have a job that is being posted within our diversity, equity, and inclusion office that will support me in some of the event management stuff that I do within the DEI office. We have another job that is a recruiter for Lilly that's within our HR organization. We're about to interview about 50 people for IT, about 14 IT jobs, and we're planning to hire another 30 by the end of this year for IT related jobs. And then I'm anticipating another, 10 to 20 jobs across various functions at Lilly, all by the end of this year. That's just at Lilly. And I mean, there are a couple of ways to get access to those jobs. Our approach is to leverage our community partners like Martin University, Ivy Tech, and employee referrals. Those are really the big three. We don't do a whole lot of wide marketing because it's easier to get access to the targeted people by just going to where they are, because otherwise they wouldn't know about it. So what I would say, if you have in any of these skills first jobs at Lilly, probably the easiest thing to do is to send me your resume. Send an email, or if you have it, I can look at it now. Send me an email with your resume. And the email address that you can send that to is terry.morris@lilly.com. And I'll talk about that more, but that's the short version. If you're interested in a job at Lilly, the first place to start is your resume, and let us see kind of where you are. What are we looking for generally with profiles, and we can talk through your gaps and what you can do to close your gaps. And once those gaps are closed, then we can get you on to a referral and interview for a job. So that's the short version around the Lilly stuff, but we'll come back there. Now for the OneTen, and a lot of the companies have jobs that are anywhere. Now, for example, you see Allstate, they posted a job today in commercial insurance. And I look on that, let's just see. It said multiple locations. Now, let me tell you, when you go out here, you'll see how poor companies are at job descriptions, because they use a lot of words to say something real simple, but they still use a lot of words. Now, this particular role is in their underwriting. You can scroll down a little bit more to key responsibilities. So you can see that this particular person, they're helping to develop business plans, book of business. There's some quality component, there's a communication component. But you'll see that they haven't totally perfected this, because they have a college degree here, but they didn't say a 4-year degree in this context. So they provided some liberty. Sorry, we need help somewhere. There we go. So, but that's just one example of Allstate. Let's jump over here to Lowe's. They put a senior analyst job, and they said that this job, let's see if Michigan is listed, or Indiana. Indiana's listed, Michigan is listed. So this job is available in both locations where we have prominent spots. Now, you can see that they don't get it right in terms of what they post, because they put a degree here, but anytime you see it, there's no OneTen job that requires a 4-year degree. So they didn't clean the job up. So that's why I'm trying to prep you for a little grace with this system, because they're still cleaning it up, but it cannot be a OneTen job if it requires a 4-year degree, full stop. And there are two approaches that companies are pursuing for this. They're either just taking their existing jobs and removing the 4-year requirement, or they're creating apprenticeship programs to give you the ability to close the skill gaps and then hire you into that professional career. So let me stop there, and let's just open it up for some questions and see if we've 1,000% confused you or just 100%. Okay, there's a question here. Are the jobs at Lilly remote, or does someone need to live in Indianapolis or in a Lilly location? currently, all of our apprenticeships or skills first jobs at Lilly are in Indianapolis. However, I am working through a design for our sales organization. And if we get to yes on the sales organization play, then we will, there will be jobs available in other parts of the US as well. So at Lilly, for the most part, it is Indianapolis, but if the sales comes online, then it could be other parts of the US. But the thing I would encourage is that all of those other companies, it's now OneTen is up to 70 companies around the US. They have jobs as well. So great question, Gaines. Brother Mark.
So my question is, I like what you're presenting. So say for instance, if myself, I did complete Indiana State University, but I've been doing hair probably for the past 32 years. But if I'm interested in the program, how do I, because I have done in my major field, because I worked for Black Expo, and I also worked for Al Hobbs back in the days, doing in my skills, but I haven't been in my skills for that long because of me being doing hair. I would love to be going to this program, but being at the age that I am now, would that be harder to do, or do you recommend me to do that? Or because I'm really interested in the program.
Well, so first let's talk about age. Any company that tells you that you will not qualify because of your age, it has lawsuits all over the place because they certainly don't get it. So age is a notion that no company is gonna have as an exclusion criteria. Now, but what is an exclusion criteria for this specific program is anyone having a 4-year degree. Now, if they even got it 30 years ago, if they received a 4-year degree, that is they would be disqualified. Any other degree, an associate's degree of any sort, they would be they would qualify for these roles. And I'm just talking, and let me be clear, that's just the skills first OneTen way of thinking. There are companies I saw here this weekend that KAMINTL, who's located here in Indianapolis. Sorry, I don't have a whole lot of Detroit context. I may have to call on my friend Yolanda to help with any Detroit context. But KAMINTL has just announced a new program where they're looking to help people who have previously worked, decided to stay home or choose a different career, and now they're ready to come back to work. And they have a new program to kind of help them transition back to work. So what you're describing, Mark, is I think it's their CARES program. I can find out anyone who's interested, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn and or through the email I provide, and I can share that with you. But I would encourage that there are many large companies view it as their social responsibility to be active in this space, provide opportunities for underrepresented minorities in their communities. So this is a season of opportunity. You just got to lean in and be ready and present the most robust profile when you show up at these places. Having a tight LinkedIn representation, having a solid resume, and make sure that you've done the due diligence to put the best version of you forward. So, great question, thank you. There's a question, maybe I answered the question about, okay, that was a great question about the age. Is there a section within OneTen for more information if you have a felony or positions that hire felons? Great question. You know, we actually talked about this when Maurice Jones, who the gentleman on the video, he was in Indianapolis a couple of months ago, and we hosted him. And we were meeting with the Indianapolis Urban League and a few other Black groups just to understand, share more about OneTen and them to share more about the barriers. And the Urban League introduced this notion called justice involved. And those words were intended to imply those who have some record, whether it is recent and or years ago. But they were encouraging Lilly to do more, to create more opportunities for people who have some engagements with the justice system. So, most companies have a kind of cookie cutter, you have to have a clean record for 7 years for some things. That's kind of the default answer. We're actively looking at, is that the right way to think about it? And if not, what other ways should we be considering? So I've been talking to organizations like Keys for Life here in Indianapolis. Recycle Force is another. Those are two organizations that do support people who do have previous justice involvement. There's also PACE and Goodwill. Those are 4 organizations that do support people who have previous justice involvement. By default, Lilly does not exclude people just because they have a record. That isn't how we in exclusion criteria. So it's a more complicated situation than that. The only way to really kind of pressure test it is to apply. Now, one of the things that companies are starting to look at is the fuller picture of a person, and trying to get in the sense of what is the risk associated with that person. So it's one thing if they had, some justice involvement 10 years ago, but they haven't done anything material since that point. Well, should that 10-year-ago thing be held against them? This is a different person now. And they end up learning their lesson and are done their time. So we are looking at ways to bring about more understanding of the risk associated with that person. So I'm giving the long version. The only way to really test that out is to apply. But there are resources available to help you address if you do have a record and the path to having, and I'm getting outside of my lane because I don't know all the language here, but there are resources to help people expunge their record if that is possible. I mean, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund is an example of a resource. So, if you ping me independently if you need those resources, again, I'm happy to share. I should have forewarned you all. Most of my answers are long. I'm working on the short version. I'm looking at Brian. If he starts looking the other way, that'll tell me that I've given a long version. Okay, I have a 2-year degree. I work as a contract project manager. I am looking for a full-time project management role with benefits. Is this person in Indianapolis, or what city are you in?
I'm in Indianapolis.
Okay. Certainly a lot of the roles that I have seen having particularly in that Lilly, we've hired a lot of project managers. How about send me your resume? Because I know that we are looking for project managers. We were. I don't know that we are still, because we did fill some of those. There is another organization called BC4 that is also looking for project managers as a part of this program. So, are you familiar with BC4? Does that name ring a bell?
No.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to send me your resume, then I can get you connected with Anthony there. And if Lilly's opportunities are still open, we can get you connected there as well.
Okay. Is it terry.morris@lilly.com?
Right. And it's LILLY.
Okay.
Okay. What other questions can I answer for you all? Michigan Works has a Okay. Wait, I like the sound of that. So, play for those in Detroit or Michigan. So well, let me ask you all, what are some of the barriers that you see for your ability to take advantage of the jobs that I've described, either at Lilly and or other places? Just to give me some feedback. Does this look like something for you?
It happens every Thursday.
Or this is I think,
Deacon,
yes, sir.
When we get there, yes, dress.
I would believe the biggest barrier for me would be the gap in my related work experience to the field that I would like to transition into. I have a 2-year degree in computer security, but since I received my degree, I did not work in a related field. I now work for the city of Indianapolis, but I would like to fix that hole in my related experience and transition into tech.
No, that's a great point. Thank you for the question. And you're not alone. There are a lot of people who are in a similar state. And one organization, well, there are a lot of organizations out there now that are looking for the Antonio Stones of the world. OneTen is actually helping to curate this talent developer community. And a lot of this is IT. But it's not exclusively IT, but a lot of it is IT. And so you got organizations out there, like here in Indianapolis, there's an organization called 1150, the 1150 Academy. Brother Brian is aware of them. They take individuals who have IT interests, and they will take them through a regiment to train them and build the skills associated with various IT disciplines, whether it be automation or cybersecurity and beyond. And last year, per OneTen, I met with their CEO a couple of weeks ago, and he said they graduated 900 people with 1150, all these numbers, 1150 certifications. Now, in the last round of hiring that we did with 14 people, there was a significant representation of OneTen graduates in that pool of individuals that we hired. So I mentioned OneTen as an example, but OneTen has a list of 120 talent developers that they have endorsed. So if you go to OneTen's website and you can find the talent developer link, you can see all of the talent developers that are there. And many of those talent developers give you the ability to pursue your development in that space at no cost to you. So I met a guy here about 6-7 years ago now. He attended the Iron Yard here in Indianapolis. Actually, he attended the Iron Yard in Texas. He came back, was looking for a job. I said, well, look, I can't hire you here at Lilly because you don't have the experience. But I sent him over to another place. He worked there, and then he ultimately ended up back at Lilly, and now he's one of our lead user experience experts at Lilly. But he got his IT training from a talent developer. Now, he does have a degree, but his degree is in music. He didn't take now he's pursuing formal education in IT, but his gateway was a talent developer. So I say, if you're looking for a precept that the market will appreciate and value, talent developers is a notion that's worth your consideration.
Thank you.
No problem. Great question. What other questions can I answer? Or any other reaction, any other barriers that you see to your ability to take advantage of something like this? that we can potentially brainstorm.
Praise the Lord. I'm Deacon Morris. So I'm from the E-Campus. I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I really love this opportunity because I'm seriously been in an intense job search. I particularly have done mainly office administrative work and clerical work, and well as the medical field. And I was wondering, did you all have companies with, in this great endeavor that deals with jobs on those lines, or something even more exciting or something like that? Just wondering.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I know, like Lily as an example. Sorry, I'm using a lot of Lily example because that's just the world I know. We are going to be posting a few administrative assistant apprenticeship jobs.
Okay.
They are in Indianapolis, so they aren't intended for remote workers, but we're going to be posting those probably based on where we're at in the cycle. I'm guessing it'll be in September. But I do know that there are other companies like Rhodes, for example. They are also hiring for individuals who are pursuing more administrative or clerical experiences. But the question is that what you want to do, and or is that where you're at, but you want to pivot to another world? Because I think that is really the opportunity that many of these companies are creating, that they're willing to train those who have the learning agility to be trained. Mm-hmm. And the interest. I was talking to a chief information and digital officer for a major company here about a month ago, and he shocked me. He said, "Look, the key criteria for me for people to be hired is that," and this was an IT guy talking about IT job. He said the key criteria is that they love IT and they can learn. I'll do the rest. He said, I'll do the rest. Okay. But if they love IT and they are willing to learn, I will do the development. So, and that's the spirit behind many of the leaders who are playing in this OneTen arena. So I'd say it's worth taking a look at the OneTen website, building your profile out there so that you can be found, because this is kind of a two-way street. They've just opened up the platform so that you can go out there and add your information. And companies, now that people have that ability, are able to go and find you. So you can find the companies that are posted jobs, and they can find you based on the profile that you create.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Great question. Anything else from me? And I'll invite Shyla, if you have any questions about the experience that she's having. I know it's early, but she's hitting it out of the park already. I know that for a fact. So, but any questions we can answer?
Mm-hmm. Will there be a representative from your department at the Indianapolis Black Expo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be at the Black Expo as well. Yeah, and I tell you, Lily everybody's doing a ton of hiring. So this is a market where if you do the work, if you build your profile in a way that is appealing, you can talk your way into things that you would not have imagined. So if you need help with your resume and kind of building that narrative, send it to me. I've reviewed a ton of them in my day. And there are other resources around Indianapolis, like Employ Indy and others, but we're just in a season where those who are willing to do the work, the market is willing to absorb you. Why? Yeah, TERRY. The TERRY.MORRIS@LILLY.com. No problem. Okay. Well, I know this is a lot, and there's a lot of stuff that we've thrown at you that may take a minute to stick. But feel free to ping me or shoot me a message. I mean, I use LinkedIn a ton. So if you're not on LinkedIn and you're looking for a professional job, get on LinkedIn. So I encourage you to, if you're not there, to hop out there. And I mean, myself, I'll offer my wife up as well, Alicia Morris. She too, I know, would be happy to help with any resume reviews here. So any other last questions?
Will OneTen be at the convocation next week?
You know, that's a great question. So they are tentatively slated to be at the convention. Maurice Jones, the CEO of OneTen, in fact, is tentatively scheduled to be there.
Oh, okay.
And so we're, you know, there's a lot going on everywhere. So that's why it's still tentative at the moment, but we're hoping that we take the tentative dimension off here by end of week and have it affirmed. But it went from solid to tentative at the moment.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Let's see, there were some comments here. Clerical is a great way in the IT. It also, absolutely, it certainly is a foundational pathway. And also administrative clerical is a good way for business development, project management. Yep, I totally agree. I mean, those are foundational experiences. What I found is that half of it is about declaring a destination for yourself, and then figuring out pathways to that destination. I mean, I grew up in IT. I spent 20 years as 20 plus years as an IT professional. Now I'm in HR, doing this work. But I was able to justify the HR role that I'm in by a lot of the experiences that I had prior to the engagement in the community, the recruiting activities that I've been a part of. I was kind of a diversity professional before I had any formal experiences around it. So it made the case for the job that I have now. Okay. Well, first, thank you all for your time. I know that there's a lot going on. Appreciate you all prioritizing. Thank you, Sister Shyla, for joining as well. And again, reach out to me. There was another question. I have a nephew that doesn't want to go to college. Does he need to get additional work experience before getting into something like this? You know, that's a great question. And it's a little bit of art because the market is not, for some jobs, particularly in IT, isn't expecting you to go to college and or go back to college after you hire. They expecting you to keep a learning engine going. And so you have to validate your technical wherewithal to get in the door. But once you're in, they're expecting their culture to kind of help take you the rest of the way. So I say that they should consider some of these programs like 1150, like General Assembly, like Infosys. There are a lot all over the country. There are a lot of free, most of these again are free resources. So I strongly encourage that if the IT experiences are ones they're looking for, they should take a look at those. If they're looking for more trade, experiences, manufacturing worlds, I mean, certainly those jobs are there too, and they can be lucrative as well. So I say it really just depends on which path they would have interest in, but they don't have to go to college. And actually, more organizations are respecting that fact and are willing to create pathways that don't have that as a requirement. Okay. All right. Well, I committed to be done by 6:30 so that I wouldn't impinge on Bible study. But again, thank you all for joining. If there's value in having something like this, again, I'm certainly willing to make myself available. So you all let us know if you want to come together. Maybe we do some resume writing things. I know we have a professional development group as well, so don't want to impinge on them, but whatever is helpful, we're willing to do so. All right, thanks everybody. You all be blessed.
Thank you, Deacon.
Hi. Nothing. What's my baby coming along? What's going on?
Thank you.